evening, YouTube. You guys are now watching another segment of the Cali Effect. Today, we're going to be talking about more of a discussion as well. It comes with, obviously, a Death Pro video. Domain Monarch versus Extra Deck Monarch. Now, there are two huge differences between Domain Monarch and Extra Deck Monarch. I think the biggest thing I want to say is price. Domain Monarch is practically 3 structure decks, 2 red layers, 1 if you really want to go there, and then you're practically done with the deck, where Extra Deck Monarch, it's a lot more of an investment. Domain Monarch does have less outs than Extra Deck Monarch, but it still is a very viable and playable deck. As you guys can see, I'm going to special summon the red layer to get over the Thunder King Ryle, which, to be honest with you guys, if I did not have red layer, it would have probably been a lot harder. Now, I would have obviously been able to Pantheism to gain other cards, but without that red layer or something like the Monarch Stormfort plus Domain, getting over problematic cards like Thunder King Ryle wouldn't be as easy as it would be in Extra Deck Monarch, where I can just activate Brilliant Fusion and then go through my whole combos and then Tribute Summon. Or, you know, there's multiple cards, like I can special summon red layer in itself. I can still like make monsters to Tribute Summon for it. With red layer, it's a little harder, especially unless you can like legitimately Tribute Summon. There's no other way out to it. Now I'm going to further into my strategy by using the Return of the Monarchs, which is another excellent card inside of Domain Monarchs. And the biggest reason why, while you can still use it in Extra Deck Monarchs, Domain Monarchs, you have like 0 possibility of it ever backfiring with you. If you guys read Returns Monarchs first text, you cannot special summon cards from the Extra Deck. So drawing the Return of the Monarch and using it in Extra Deck Monarchs, you have to be able to get rid of it via Karaz or some other way, maybe Artifact Durandal that's already on the field. That's one perk about Domain Monarchs, is that you always have a search engine within Return of the Monarchs. You are always able to gain really tons and tons of advantage through Return of the Monarchs and then all of your other Monarch cards. The biggest downside about Monarchs is, like I said, or I haven't even said, is that you have to play 40 cards. Now, if you could play 30 cards, Monarch would be awesome. Like, Monarch would literally be one of the best decks of the format. Or actually, it already is the best deck in the format, but it would be even more broken than what it is. The fact that you have to play 10 extra cards that might not be as favorable as the 30 cards you would play kind of hinders the deck in itself and leads to, you know, dead hands. Like, as you guys can see, I feel like I'm forced to play Thestos, I'm forced to play Escalation. They're not horrible cards, but then again, I'd probably rather just play 30 really good Monarch cards and avoid the whole situation. The deck is very balanced. Its consistency, like I said, it's pretty much there. And Return of the Monarch is very nice. As you can see, I sure my opponent searched for Solemn Strike. I wasn't able to let him activate it because Return of the Monarchs is Chain Link 3 and the Erebus effect is Chain Link 2. So basically it says Solemn Strike is a terrible card. That's my brief synopsis on Domain Monarchs. It is limited in its abilities, but it does provide you, quote-unquote, a little bit more consistency, and it also has a lot more searchability within the deck. Now we're going to go into Extra Deck Monarch, and when I say this deck is crazy, this deck is completely crazy. You almost get all of the perks of Domain Monarch. And keep in mind, I said almost all of the perks in Domain Monarch. Obviously, I can't prevent my opponent from going into Extra Deck, and obviously, I can't completely abuse Return of the Monarchs with no repercussions. But then at the same time, the amount of plays that I can get with this deck for sacrificing that is insane. As you guys can see, I'm going to Brilliant Fusion for the Seraph Knight, and then I'm going to Pantheism, 2 cards in the graveyard. We're going to activate Pantheism's effect. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to show triple tenacity if I haven't activated the tenacity already. I think we're just going to show domains. So I'm going to force him to add a domain to my hand. And you guys are thinking, why are you playing 3 domain Cali effect? On this specific build, I didn't play Karazes, so there was no legitimate way for me to destroy my own monsters or my own Return of the Monarchs. So I opted with domain mainly because it still allowed me to do stuff. Like, it allowed me to make my 6s, or my level 8 Monarchs level 6. It allowed me to still Tribute Summon. It allowed me to do a lot, so I really appreciated that in its essence. As you guys can see, I'm going to Tribute Summon for the Erebus right now, and I'm just going to follow up with more wacky plays. If I would have special summoned the red layer first, I would have finished the board with an Erebus, a Crystal Wing, and a Durandal, which, I mean, it's pretty nasty for the opponent, being able to negate a spell or trap once per turn, which more than likely is going to be a spell, and then also being able to negate a monster effect on top of that. So as you guys can see, while I do sacrifice my opponent being able to go into the extra deck, I am rewarded by being able to play cards like Crystal Wing, Synchro Dragon, Ultimate Zomea, Gym Knight, Seraph Knight. So the extra deck Monarch definitely has a lot more versatility within the deck and allows you to extend further plays, and also it's practically an out to almost any deck imaginable right now. now. If you have a problem with Cosmo, Stormforth their Dark Destroyer. If you have a problem with the mirror match, you can always cite in Masker Restricts. I mean, that's how deadly this deck is. I don't have to use Masker Restricts. This time around, I'm going to be showing you the Overdrive Teleporter combo, which is very nasty, might I add. I'm going to Tribute Summon the Jet Synchron, get that out, and then it's just a whole bunch of nasty stuff that entrails with it. It's going to special summon Ghost Ogre and Blue Layer. Blue Layer is going to add Red Layer, and now I'm going to go into Stardust Warrior. And Stardust Warrior is going to gain me an additional draw. So basically, I just paid 2,000 life points to establish a board. That's pretty good. And then I open Brilliant Fusion. Awesome. Now I'm going to go ahead and make Beatrice. And Beatrice's effect, I know I can activate Beatrice's effect on my turn because, you know, that's how awesome this deck can get at times. I'm going to send Prime. Yeah, this is not good. This is definitely not good, and this is what you get for sacrificing it. So while people can argue that, oh, I like Domain Monarch because it's cheaper and it still wins, Extra Deck Monarch, in my opinion, it does everything that Domain Monarch does, except sometimes just a little better. That time around, I could have actually activated the Brilliant Fusion Special Summon Seraphonite and then made the Artifact Durandal, which here or there could have been the better play, but I mean, hey, I already have a Quistorine and a Beatrice that I've already activated its effect. It can activate and resolve it again, sending a Dia to my graveyard to add a banished card. So while you do get more search utility and Domain, Extra Deck Monarch is just... I mean, you guys can see the boards that this deck makes. It's freaking insane. I'm going to go ahead and activate Beatrice effect. Now, Beatrice is going to send whatever. I mean, Pantheism, it doesn't really matter. Once you activated Beatrice effect once, you've activated Beatrice effect multiple times. So I'm going to send Jackson to the graveyard, and then Leslie's effect's going to activate to add Jackson to my hand. And there's more madness. Anytime you can play like level 5 normal monsters like Jacksonite and get away with it, like completely get away with it. This card does not hurt the strategy whatsoever. I've drawn Jacksonite, Monarch Stormforth for my opponent's Cosmo Dark Ship and tributed it for a Jacksonite. So I mean, you can't really say that the card is hurting you when it's helping you advance your strategy. Like I said, the deck is just really good. You go into the extra deck a lot. You do a lot of crazy things. It's overwhelming. While people do argue that you can quote-unquote brick as more often than the Domain Monarch, to be honest with you guys, if you brick, you brick in both decks. They brick just equally about the same. I'm just playing like a whole bunch of stuff in this deck and I'm not bricking. Like it's so terrible how I'm not bricking and I'm playing a whole bunch of stuff. Let's get this to 200 likes for the deck profile of Monarchs, and I really hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you guys like seeing which one is better, Extra Deck Domain or Cosmo Fire Kings and all that other stuff, just let me know and I'll be happy to make more. Thank you guys so much for watching another segment of the Cali Effect. Please like, comment, subscribe, but most of all, enjoy.